Hello everybody and welcome to another AutoCAD video. In today's video we're going to be taking a quick look at the abilities we have within AutoCAD to work with blocks, and more specifically in this case dynamic blocks. So really handy functionality, really powerful functionality inside of AutoCAD, whereby we can take an existing block or create a new block from scratch and make it into a dynamic block, which will enable us to have a single block reference that has multiple different configurations available to it within itself. So in this case, on this door, we've got the ability to set the opening angle of the door with this little drop down over here. We've also got the ability to change the width of the door as well as the wall that it's associated to if we needed to. On a more mechanical side, we've also got the ability in this case to use this bolt over here, change the size of the bolt based on a drop down and the length of the bolt as well. These are all done within the block editor itself, so we've got the ability to come in and adjust any of these blocks. Dynamic blocks are indicated with the little lightning symbol, and we've got the ability to go and manage these blocks within the block editor itself. So those actions are driven based on parameters, and the parameters then naturally go and push the actions. So in order to get any of this movement going, we would need to have parameters in place, as we can see on screen indicated in the darker blue. Each of these dark blue values are parameters within the dynamic block itself, driving the length as well as the width of not only the main part of the bolt itself, but the head as well, so the shaft and the bolt head. We've also got a size drop down, which is essentially where we go and choose the size of the component, and this is going to drive both the D2 value here, the head width, as well as the D1 value, the shaft. We've then got that grip at the bottom of the part, which is driven by this length value over here, and that's going to allow us to then drive the length of this particular component from within. So in order to add these in, we can either use the authoring palettes rather within the manage panel and add a parameter in, whether it be a linear parameter, a rotational parameter, alignment, flip, or any of the others. We can then simply click between 2 points, which will specify a distance, and then we can place the dimension down or the parameter down. That parameter can then start to drive. You can see that this one is requiring an action in order to work, so any parameter also requires an action. So the actions can also be added from the authoring palettes or from the action drop down within the action parameters window. And we can say that it then is essentially going to be moving something. So if we wanted to move an item, we first of all need to specify which parameter is driving this. I'd say distance 1 in this case, and then it wants to know what geometry we're changing and where which of the parameters or which of the nodes are going to be driving this one. So I'll say this right hand one over here, and then the geometry that needs to be adjusted as according to this. So I'm going to go and select all of this within the model and say that all of the entirety of the model needs to move based on that selection. With this distance parameter over here, once I've confirmed my selection, I can go and change how this distance parameter modifies things. So if I wanted, I can first of all change the name of it. So rather than it just being called distance 1, which will be viewable by the end user, I can give this a better name. I can give this a description if required. And based on the distance between the 2 points, the start X and Y and the end X and Y, it also has a distance calculated based on those values. And this is essentially the parameter that it pushes through to the actions value. So if I tell it to move, it needs to know how much by and potentially in which direction. We can also specify a distance type, whether we have any limitations on the distance that we specify, whether or not, I suppose in this case, and whether there's a maximum or minimum value, or we can list a value, or we can list values, list distances that are available as options, or we could also set increments and then a maximum and maximum and minimum limit to those increments as well. If I take a look at, for example, this length parameter over here, I can see that there are a few nodes that it will stop at, and those are based on a listed value or a list of dimensions. So we've got a distance value list over here, and we can see from this list that it's going to stop at 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, and 60. So jumping 10 units between 50 and 60. Now that's essentially going to stop it from going beyond certain limits and keeping it in check from within there. So we've got the ability to use various types of parameters, which then can start to drive various types of actions, various types of movements within this. We also have a lookup functionality, which can then decide that we need to look at various visibility options within the model itself. So if we were switching between an M10 and an M5, we can toggle visibility of certain parameters on and off, or certain types of geometry on and off at the same time. So really powerful functionality to be able to keep this all within a single block. That way, rather than having to recreate geometry multiple times throughout, if we do have anything that is similar, we can essentially create a dynamic block out of it and ensure that we are keeping it nice and simple, a single block for multiple bits of functionality. I hope that's been beneficial. That's all I'm going to cover for today. If you'd like to get more information about this, please feel free to get in contact with us. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Thank you very much. Bye for now.